Welcome back, Wanderers. My name is Eric, creator of Sins of Redemption and the author of the future or upcoming series, The Dark Coast Chronicles. It's coffee time and newsletter time, because I don't like emails. Okay, let's get to it. I've got some notes because there's a lot to cover, so let's take a look at it. First of all, as promised, what genre is the Dark Coast Chronicles series going to be about? Well, that's kind of hard to put into one genre. And if I were to define it, I would say the Dark Coast Chronicles is a series set in the world of Sins of Redemption. It is a dark, historical, low fantasy with elements of gaslight, new weird, and urban fantasy throughout. And that's how I would define it. But does it have romance? Well, how do you define romance? Do you think Romeo and Juliet is romance? So let's put that topic aside for a second. Let's do a little bit of an update. The current project I'm working on is the World Compendium. I'm averaging about 470 words per day. Not my intended 1K per day, but I'm working on it. When you have a full-time job and a family and obligations, those things take precedence. So I will admit that I feel exhausted all the time. And I know that many of my fellow authors can completely reciprocate with that, but there's only so much coffee and I'm allowed to imbibe, so we'll push through. Why the World Compendium? See, I'm a firm believer in a holistic approach to storytelling. When I write, the characters and the settings are equally important. And let me explain why. Because when we end as individuals, the world doesn't stop. The world was there before us and after. And I've read stories where the world basically starts with the character and ends with the character. You're not wondering what the story of the other people are. I believe that the world does not stop, and I want that in my stories, and the world will go on. And you will have questions about what happens to other aspects of the story. The history and the environment and its people, they inform, they shape, they mold the characters. Okay? For example, the 50-year war ended just 2 decades before the setting of the story. The generation who lived through that 50-year war and the generation who was born right after it, they interact differently when it comes to that topic and to each other. And this is important because Dark Coast City and its people are also a character in the story. There are things happening to them and to the characters that inform and evolve each. So yeah, holistic environment, very important to me. Next notes. Let's talk side projects, artwork, particularly interior artwork. I'm planning to do this myself. I'm fortunate enough that I have a fine arts degree, which I had before my archaeology degree. So I want to get your impressions on this. Leave your comments below, please. What do you think of border page art? What do you think of chapter art? Should there be none, very little, sparsely, or go full deco? Do you love books that have all of this flourishing art in it? See, I'm a huge Alphonse Mouchat fan. I love his art style. I've practiced his art style for years and years and years, and I've been thinking about adding that in there, but let me know. Okay, let's get back to the topic of love. Is the Dark Coast Chronicles a romance story? No, not in the sense that you're thinking. But here's the thing. It is a love story at its core. Right down to the center of it, it is a love story, but not just between two individuals. There's going to be stories about family. There's going to be stories about brotherhood and friendship and the love that you find there, of companionship, of loss, of tragedy. All of this, all of these different love stories, we explore the love of the people for the city as well. It's their home, it's their dreams, and how far are they willing to go to defend it? That's a little hint to the plot there. It's about the kind of love we often take for granted. And we take it for granted until it's gone. And then we're left wanting, regretting, not having paid more attention to it. And this is very much a story of those we have lost. They're in this book as well. And this is why it's a chronicle. Because the story doesn't start with book one. The story started way before, and the story will continue way after. There is literally no beginning or end on this. All you're getting is a chronicle, a part, a snippet of the history. So it's not just, see, that's what I mean by holistic writing. This is not a story about a hero doing heroic things against villainy and then winning. And those kinds of stories are fantastic. I've written those before. Short stories. I love stories like that. But the world must go on. So, spoiler alert, the good guys do win, kind of. Sort of. You'll see. This will not be a popular opinion. Warning. Click pause now if you don't like this. But it doesn't make it any less true. Love is never fair. Love is never equal. In a relationship, there's always someone who's going to give more and love more than the other. That's just a fact. But in a healthy relationship, this is like a pendulum. It goes back and forth to whoever needs it. So in a relationship, in a healthy relationship, that is a give and take. That doesn't always happen in all relationships. And that's where the tragedy begins. When it doesn't, it can destroy relationships. It can destroy families, friendships. You know, when there's always one taking and always one giving, that's tragedy right there. So the fallout of those unequal tragedies is the driving force behind the Chronicles. It's the background story. It's what propels all of these ships into the collision course that ends in book 5. That are all part of the series as a whole. It's part of the story. So yeah, there is love. There is some romance. It's not a romance book. The characters, the development, their growth, their failures, their tragedies, they're all tied into this. Love makes us do crazy things. And always remember, no one is a villain in the narrative of their own story. And even heroes do horrible things. So keep that in mind. So although the Dark Ghost Chronicles is not a romance series, it certainly deals with the topic of love. There's no doubt about that. It's an underlying factor throughout. It is one of the central tenets. The story also includes power plays, by the way, betrayals, family. All the characters have wants and needs. All the characters have desires, and not all the characters will succeed. It's that simple. Some of those love stories will fail. Some of them will succeed. Some of them will be terrible, tragic. Brace yourselves. So, in closing, in the next newsletter, I'll try to talk a little bit more about my views on the direction I took for the world building. So why I went that direction. Take care of yourselves, Wanderers. Take care of each other out here. That's all we've got. Peace.